Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. If you have any story that you want to share with us, please do not hesitate to contact us via our WhatsApp number, and you will just tell us on which platform that you want us to share your confession. There is a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins, and the message reads like this. Hello brother, how are you? I am a South African man who had very big dreams of becoming a famous DJ one day. This dream of mine started from a very young age. When I was still a young boy, that is when I taught myself how to record music. Even in our community, everyone said that I was destined to be one of the biggest DJ stars here in South Africa because of the way that I used to produce my music. In our community, there was one point in time where everyone had like my music on their phones, but my dreams were crushed by the time when I came to drop some demo tapes to different record labels here in Johannesburg. After dropping my tapes, I didn't get any feedback, even though my music was like really great, but I couldn't get any breakthrough no matter how hard I tried. So I stayed in Johannesburg with a friend for about half a year until I finally gave up and I returned back home. When I returned back home, my father then told me that it was high time for me to get a job. And this really hurt me because for the first time in my life, I thought that my father no longer believed in the dream that I was going to become one of the top DJs in my country. So I tried looking for a job, but the kind of job opportunities that I was getting, I thought that they were below the level that I had set for myself. And me wanting to be an entrepreneur, I decided to open a studio in our garage. My father allowed me to do that. Then he even bought some equipment for me so that I can use it in my studio. At that time, I was married. I was newly married, and my new wife, she was pregnant at that time. Life became so unbearable that we couldn't even go out anymore. I could never take my wife out. It was that time that we lost my father. My father, one day, he just went out with one of his cars, and when he went out drinking, when he was coming back, that was when he had an accident and he died on the spot. And the car that he was driving on that day, it was the car that he used so much when he was doing his businesses because it was a bakkie. The way that the bakkie was so much damaged after my father's funeral, we could not even afford to repair it. And that car was the one that used to assist us because sometimes my father would go and stock tomatoes at the farms, onions and cabbages, and resell them in town. This is what my father used to do. When my father passed away, we then lost our only source of income. Life continued, and every day for me was like a hustle, and the love that was there between me and my new wife was suddenly gone because on most occasions, even when we were sleeping, she would complain on how I had stopped her from going to varsity. Then now that I had gotten married to her, I was failing to take good care of her. That was when my mother said we should build some back rooms, and they all got occupied in no time. After we had finished building those back rooms, most of the people who were now staying at our house, most of them were people who were coming outside of the country, who were working at the farms that were nearby our location. When those people were now staying at our house, I then thought of fixing my late father's bakkie. That is when I decided that I should make this bakkie to become a staff car. So what I used to do is that I would carry people to and from work, and life returned back to normal. When life returned back to normal, I then put my energy back into making music. So through music, I then became friends with this other man that we used to call Maputo. The first time that I became friends with that man is when I had gone to fetch some of the guys that were staying at our house, since I was using my car as a staff car. Whilst I was waiting for them, that is when I spoke with that man that I had heard everyone calling him Maputo. When he spoke with me, he told me that he was looking for a laptop to buy. I then told him that I had one of my old laptops that I was willing to sell to him. After that, he then told me that I was supposed to load some softwares, like recording softwares, on that laptop. I then asked him why he wanted those recording laptops. He told me that he was a DJ and he wanted to become a very popular DJ when he returns back to his country in Mozambique. That is how me and that guy became friends, because after he had gotten his salary, he would come over to the studio so that I can record him some of his music. On most nights, me and him will be chilling in the studio, and whilst we'll be chilling in the studio, we will discuss about how we were going to make it in music. He then told me one day, as we were just chilling late at night in the studio, that he will do whatever he can so that he can be popular when he becomes a DJ. And he said that he was willing to join Illuminati so that he can be famous. At that time, I thought that this guy, since he was a heavy smoker of Zol, I thought that maybe he was just joking, or maybe he had just taken too much weed. But whenever I would be with him, he kept on telling me about this thing of Illuminati. So I did a research of my own. Then I saw that most of the people that are said to be famous, they have gone through that process. Me and him, we kept on speaking. Unfortunately, one day when we were supposed to go and perform at this other bar, when he was at work, I then heard that he had been arrested, and after that he was deported back to Mozambique. I stayed like that until one day, out of the blue, he just contacted me and he told me that he was now permanently based in his country, and he told me that he was working constantly as a DJ, getting a lot of gigs. He even told me that when he was still working on that farm, it was time lost because now he was getting a lot of money. As I was talking with him, he told me that if I manage to come to his town, I could make a lot of money, because the place where he would go and perform, they were giving him a lot of money per gig. And from his pictures that he used to send me, I saw that Maputo indeed was living a soft life, and I also wanted that soft life. At that time, my brother, I wanted to fix my marriage. There was this other lady, she had came to my studio, so that lady was really attractive. When I started speaking with her, it seemed as if she had also fallen in love with me. Unfortunately, my wife had seen one of the chats when I was speaking to that lady. So my wife was really angry. She was angry that I was not really taking good care of her, and now it seemed as if I was about to cheat on her. So I needed a miracle and I needed a sign from God. When I saw Maputo's picture, I then knew that indeed this might be a sign from God, and I was ready to do whatever I could so that I can be rich and famous. One day when I was in the studio working on some of my beats, then Maputo called me and he asked me if I wanted to become rich and famous. I said, of course. I wanted to prove everyone that I had finally made it in life. He then said that he will call me and his spiritual father will speak with me. So I waited for the call, and that call never came. When Maputo never called me back, I then said, this is what usually happens when one has made it in the industry. Then they will forget where they are coming from. Life went on as usual until one night. On that night, me and my wife, we had a very big argument. But whenever we have that argument, my wife is that kind of a woman that she doesn't shout at you. When she is angry, she will just remain quiet. So we went to bed without speaking to each other. When I was fast asleep, that is when I saw my father in my dreams. But the way that I saw my father, he was standing in quite a strange way. When I approached my father, I saw that he was trying to hide something that was standing behind him. When I looked over, then my father started to fight with me, and then I realized that I was the one who was like the evil one in my dreams. My father was trying to protect my newborn baby. For me, when I woke up, this dream really confused me as to why my father was saying that I wanted to do evil against my own child. With the way that I loved my child, I thought that this dream was really crazy, because I would never even imagine myself hurting any of my babies. Maputo then called me one day and said I was supposed to buy 6 eggs and 6 candles, but he told me that I was not supposed to buy any normal eggs. I had to buy those white eggs, and I struggled to get hold of those white eggs, and I had to sacrifice my last money so that I can buy them, because I had gone around the location looking for them. But in the end, I took the last money that was in my pocket. Then I poured some fuel into my car so that I can drive to town. And when I was in town, I had to drive around just looking for those white eggs. When the evening came, I lied to my wife that there was this other bit that I was working on. So it was possible that I will be working in the studio until morning. When it was midnight, I made sure that there was no one else that was walking around. I got out of the studio silently, then I locked the doors and I got out of the yard. So I think all along my wife had been watching me, because as soon as I got out of the yard, my wife saw me. Then she started to follow me because she thought that I was cheating on her because of those chats that she had seen on my phone. So my wife followed me silently until I reached the bushes. When I was in the bushes, I then waited for Maputo to call me. When he called me, he told me that he was going to give the phone to another man whom he said was my spiritual senior. As I was talking with that guy, we could not communicate properly because of his English. So what we will do is that man will tell Maputo whatever he wanted me to do. Then Maputo will tell me everything that I was supposed to do. Maputo told me that I was supposed to break the eggs, but these eggs, I was supposed to break them one by one. And after breaking each egg, I was supposed to tell him that I had broken the egg until I was left with one egg. When I wanted to break the last egg, that is when my wife just called out of the bushes and she said, "What are you doing?" When my wife said, "What are you doing?" I was really scared because I was caught in the act. I quickly had to think of a lie, so I lied to my wife that I had gone to this other church because I was trying to sort out our marriage. And when I had gone to that church, they told me that the only way that we could fix our marriage was by me getting a proper job. So they had told me that I was supposed to buy the candles and the eggs at church, and I was supposed to come to these bushes so that I can pray in the middle of the night. She then took those candles and that egg that I was holding in my hand. She took them, then she threw them away, and we went back home. When we went back home, I never told her the truth. I kept on lying that I had gone to this other church, and she believed me. On that night, she told me that indeed she was happy that I was trying to fix our marriage, but little did she know that I was on the verge of joining the Illuminati. I was so scared of telling her the truth. My brother, when we arrived back home, we slept. Then the following evening, that is when out of the blue, our daughter just stopped breathing normally. She was acting as if someone was hitting her with electricity, and there was white stuff that was coming out of her mouth. We then loaded her into the buggy so that we could rush her to the hospital. Just when I drove out of the gate fell down. It nearly missed the car, and my daughter, she was at the back of the buggy, and there was so much wind that the car shook because of the strong wind. We took my daughter to the hospital, and what they told us at the hospital, still troubles me, because they said that a clot of blood had entered into her brain, but mysteriously she survived. But even now, my daughter has a problem of heavy nose bleeding, and this scares me a lot, but I am afraid to let my wife know all the things that I did. At one point in time, my brother, I really wanted to join that thing that they call Illuminati. I was so desperate to become famous. Maputo never picked up my calls again, and the strange part was that on that same week that my daughter fell ill, the phone that had Maputo's number just went missing in the house. Maybe it was strange, maybe it was stolen, but to me, this whole thing was so strange to me that in the same week that I tried to join this occultic thing, then my daughter fell sick, and the only phone that had his number just got stolen, and we never recovered that phone. Yo, guys, that one was a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins. If you have any story that you want to share with us, please do not hesitate to contact us via our WhatsApp number or email address.